Live from Studio 6A in Rockefeller Plaza, All In starts right now. Good evening from New York. I'm Chris Hayes, and welcome. I am here in Studio 6A at Rockefeller Center with a live audience. It's something we have not done in nearly 3 years. Last time I was standing here was March 6, 2020, right before the entire world shut down. And of course, COVID still not gone. But we are back. We're taking precautions so we can gather here safely. Everyone here is vaccinated. I'm vaxxed and boosted. You'll see people wearing masks. And we're here on a night of very serious breaking news out of San Francisco. I'm sure that you've seen it. In the early hours of the morning, there was a violent invasion at the home of the Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, one of the most powerful people in the United States government, second in line to the presidency. Here's what we know so far. The suspect is a 42-year-old man with a long online footprint. His social media and blog posts have espoused right-wing extremist ideas, conspiracy theories, including about the 2020 election, COVID vaccines. Now, shortly before 2:30 a.m., he broke into Pelosi's San Francisco home through windows in the back of the house. The Speaker was not there. She was in Washington, D.C. with the Capitol Police security detail that always travels with her. And her husband was alone, 82-year-old Paul Pelosi, at home. According to law enforcement sources, the intruder confronted Mr. Pelosi, shouting, "Where is Nancy? Where is Nancy?" He also told Paul Pelosi he was going to tie him up and wait for Nancy Pelosi to get home. Somehow, Paul Pelosi was able to surreptitiously dial 911 when the attacker wasn't looking. San Francisco's Chief of Police Bill Scott described what officers saw when they arrived on the scene.
Our officers observed Mr. Pelosi and the suspect both holding a hammer. The suspect pulled the hammer away from Mr. Pelosi and violently assaulted him with it. Our officers immediately tackled the suspect, disarmed him, took him into custody, requested emergency backup, and rendered medical aid.
Paul Pelosi's 82-year-old man at home in the middle of the night was hit in the head multiple times with that hammer. He remains in the hospital as we speak after undergoing surgery this afternoon to repair a skull fracture, as well as serious injuries to his right arm and hands. Now, we're told, thankfully, he's expected to make a full recovery. His attacker was also transported to the hospital for treatment, and he is being charged with attempted homicide, assault with a deadly weapon, elder abuse, and several other felonies, according to Chief Scott, who also said the motive is still being determined. Now, we're seeing, thankfully, near universal condemnation of this horrific attack across the political spectrum, including from Republicans, Leader of the Senate, Mitch McConnell, Leader of the House, Kevin McCarthy. We do have to note, as of this hour, we still not have heard anything from the actual leader of the Republican Party, Donald Trump. And of course, this is the context that looms over all of this. Political violence and intimidation, menace has been cultivated and encouraged by the ex-president for years to his followers. And that threat of violence has been specifically directed at Nancy Pelosi for years now. She has been the target of the most radicalized members of the Trump movement who stalked the halls of the Capitol looking for her on January 6th, banging on her office doors, yelling out the very same phrase the intruder in Pelosi's home said this morning.
Where are you, Nancy? We're looking for you. Nancy! Oh, Nancy! Nancy! Where are you, Nancy?
Texting Mike that they're within her line. We need Capitol Police, I think, coming to the way. They're pounding on doors trying to find her.
I figure, well, I'm in her office. I got blood in her office. I'll put a quarter on her desk, even though she ain't worth it. And I left her a note on her desk. This says, Nancy Big O is here, you.
Now, to be clear and to be fair about all of this, right, we have seen all sorts of examples of political violence and threats in this country. In 2017, a gunman attacked congressional baseball practice, shooting Republican Congressman Steve Scalise. Earlier this year, a man with a gun was arrested near Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh's home. In July, an armed man showed up outside Democratic Congresswoman Pramila Jayapal's house. They were all terrifying and completely, obviously, unacceptable incidents. What we're talking about here is in a somewhat different category, I think, because there is a very specific form of murderous rage coming from Donald Trump's most violent and militant devotees directed at Nancy Pelosi. And on January 6th, on the day of the largest instance of political violence in this country in recent memory, a mob of people directed by Donald Trump rampaged through the Capitol wanting to find and hurt Speaker Nancy Pelosi. One rioter said he wanted to drag the speaker from the building, and I'm quoting here, "I just want to see Pelosi's head hit every effing stair." Another member of the mob said she was looking for Nancy to shoot her in the friggin' brain. A third said, "Tell Pelosi we are coming for that bee." Now, these are just a few examples, and over the course of hundreds of cases, there are many, many more. It's no surprise that the violent threats and attacks on the speaker continued. I mean, just listen to what Donald Trump himself was saying the week after his failed coup as the House prepared to impeach him for the second time.
This impeachment is causing tremendous anger, and you're doing it, and it's really a terrible thing that they're doing. For Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer to continue on this path, I think it's causing tremendous danger to our country, and it's causing tremendous anger. I want no violence.
Causing tremendous anger, right? You're doing this thing. People are getting riled up. When Donald Trump says that, and he says things like that quite a bit, he's painting a target, right? It's clear and direct, in no uncertain terms. Everyone needs to understand what he is doing.